didn't mean to do that. Oh no. You know, sometimes you make mistakes. It's okay. Mistakes happen. I didn't mean to smash the ground, but I smashed the ground. So what am I supposed to do? Also, I really hope that I hope that my fan isn't super loud, but it's really hot and I need air. If you need air, then you understand, because air is important. At least, I think it's important. Alright. So, I haven't played this in a while. And because I haven't played this in a while, it's gonna take me a minute to remember how to do everything. And also, like, oh, dang it. Also, I have to stop doing that. That's jumping. Ugh. I've been doing this. Been doing this for a long while. And because I've been doing this for a long while, I don't always remember how to do everything. I know that that makes sense. That makes sense. In my brain. Somewhere. Okay. So I need all of this stuff, so I can't get rid of any of it. Not in here. So I can't get out of that one. What about my next chest? I have other chests. Okay, so not that one. As a side note, I wanted to play today, but my mouse broke. And I was like, why? Why would my mouse break on such an important day, of all days? And then it's like, well, you know, that's just the way things go, right? But I'm going to have to go ahead. I need to rest, and then after I rest, it's off to the next thing. Off to the next thing. I got a bunch of things to do. So many things. Oh, I have comfort of 4. That's lovely. Lovely. Oh, goodness. Okay. So here we go. I'm trying. I gotta make everything work, and it doesn't want to work. Okay. Let's try first off. See if I can't repair all of. Okay, I repaired my hoe. I need to go back to my main base to repair my iron and black metal equipment. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. And I need to remember to stop smashing everything. Welcome to Valheim. We've been here for a long, long time. And we've built many things. Many things. So many things. You can see my various structures out there. But why don't we take a little walk, right? Let's take a little walk. Take a little walk. Take a little walk. Take a little walk. I watch people stream, and they have these wonderful conversations, and they gibber and they make noises, and I don't understand it. I'm not. I'm not that. I'm not that good at that. But I am good at shenanigans. Shenanigans are where I strive. See all these wonderful walls I built? They're beautiful. So, long story short, though, I need to get a new mouse, which is disappointing. I was disappointed when I realized I needed a new mouse. Okay, so that's that. Now, is that a forge I can use to actually repair with? Can this one? Yes! Yes! Aha! I think I have repaired everything. Maybe? I don't know. Oh, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I still need to do. And I'm not good at this. I'm kinda... No, I don't need to use a spawn point. I don't need a spawn point. I also don't need to walk into things. I really need a new mouse. Okay, so... oh, that's pretty. Look at that. Isn't that lovely? Look at that view. Valheim is full of wonderful views. Absolutely wonderful views. Some of them are just so pretty. So pretty. I like that. That's a good view. Huh. But, here's the thing. I have all of this nice equipment, and I have all this nice stuff. So, I need to get back to the tunnel. Some people have a secret tunnel. I just have a tunnel. And I need to return to it. Because, oh, that was the wrong way. Well, now we're going this way. If I'm stuck. Sometimes you become stuck in the geometry. I need to level some of this out. I know, I understand. It's bad. But our pickaxe is repaired, and this is my tunnel. It's a good tunnel. I like it. It's my friend. Alright. Now, was this the primary tunnel? Because I have the one base up there. No, I was going to build a wall. and then I was going to build the tunnel on the other side. Yes. Yes, that's what I was going to do. Oh my goodness, it's been so long. It's been absolutely way too long from playing this. I'm going to play it more. I got my harpoon, I got my hammer, I got my pickaxe, I got my bow, I got my spear, I got my shield, I got my axe. I have the drive to build silly things and also to get stuck on rocks, apparently. A lot of rocks. And I realize I haven't utilized channel points at all. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's awful. I have not utilized channel points at all. Well, we'll figure out something to do with those. Ooh, and this is where I can make ores. Look at that. That's pretty, isn't it? It's my kiln and my, I don't remember what the other thing's called. We'll check it out later. That's not what we're doing right now. Why did I run the wrong direction? Oh, yeah, I have to get a new mouse. I have to get a new mouse. That is what we need to do. There is my secondary tunnel up there. Now you can see that. And that is heart of today's plan. Now, I should probably eat stuff to gain some stamina, but that's not yet. Not yet. Not yet. We're not doing that yet. So there is my secondary tunnel. Oh, look at that. Got some sort of glow. I'm gonna have to look back at all the stuff from before. Now, I have... Ah, here we go. So here is my temporary fort in the middle of everything. You, get out of here. We don't want you. You're a tree. What? What do you mean, new stuff? Have new items been added since the last time I played this? Mead kettle? What? What is this? What is this? Hold on, how do I get to my, Oh, goodness. Oh, no! I'm just gonna punch you. It's fine. Monster. Hold on, I'm trying to remember how I open up... Hold on. So how do I open up my building menu, my construction menu, my build menu? L. L. Wow, it's been a while. Why does that not work? Okay. That was the wrong button. Tab is... Oh. No, that's... No, that needs to be tab. No. Oh, goodness. Alright. Deconstruct is that. Mouse 1. Mouse 3. Mouse 2. So my inventory... Inventory is tab. Map is M. Build menu is L. Got it. You think I'd remember this stuff? I don't remember this stuff. Okay. So... I got my swamp key. I've got all this building material. I'm gonna eat that. Eat that. Eat some raspberries. There we go. And then, now that we are over here, we're going to need a little clear cutting. Because as much as I like to just build the tunnel, build, I have to clear cut. And I'm going to have to build another secondary base over here. You know, it's just, it's part of the deal. Oh, I forgot how strong I was. I forgot how strong I was. But, you know, I cut down a lot of trees, so I'm strong. Let's hope I didn't just destroy a bunch of stuff again. I probably destroyed a bunch of stuff again. Oh. Bye-bye, stump. don't have room for all of this right now, but that's okay. We will make room. But first things first, we gotta just cut down the forest. The whole forest needs to be gone. I have bases everywhere. I have camps all over the place. The world is crazy. Crazy. Alright. The big problem with all this forest, though, is I have no idea where trolls could be. They could be anywhere at any time. I know I don't feel rested anymore. I'm out here cutting trees. Hello, crow. Alright. So, that's gone. We have a pretty clear route for a little ways. I won't be able to, just dig without consequence. But when the ground shakes like that, I always have to look around. Because that would be awful if there was just a troll sneaking up on me and I had no idea. Boop. Oh, I got seeds. Good. I gotta be careful. I don't want to dig down so much as just across. I had an idea, a great idea for a project. The problem is making that project happen. Which is I want to build like a castle, which would mean I'd have to move the forge, the stonework, one of the stoneworking benches, and I'd have to clear out a big space for my castle. So that's at some point in time. And I'd probably dig a big trench around it, because that's the good idea. But I'd also want to dig a basement for it, and then build up from a basement with stonework and pillars, and then wood, and give it a foundation and everything. This is just stuff I think about, Oh, I'm clipping through some of the world. Oh, and I'm getting along. Just watching my map while I go. What am I hitting? Something was fighting me. Whew. Alright. That's actually not bad progress so far. Keep going, keep going. Just gotta be careful, because you never know when you're just gonna encounter a monster, you're gonna break a weapon, and everything's gonna go bad. more treasure chests again soon. Oh, I wish there was a way to increase how much stuff you could carry, like properly how many slots and everything you have. Well, I think there probably is, I just don't know what it is. And I could look it up, or I could continue to just be silly and just build. I think I went past the forest I cleared already. It would appear that way. Yep. Oh, goodness. Oh, and it's too high up for me to cut, so I have to actually go back to the surface. But a wonderful time because I've already used up half of my pickaxe. Uh-oh. So, I see, this is why I try not to get too far ahead of myself. Because I accidentally messed that up pretty good. Oh yeah, this one's not good enough for me to fix any of this stuff. So a whole bunch of new stuff appeared when I got additional items, which is exciting because that means there's new stuff that they have added that I can build. And if there's new stuff I can build, oh, that's delightful. That's a delight. I'm quite happy about that. That is just wonderful. So, that is something for me to look into because I'm going to need to see exactly what those new things are that I can build. I need to see the new things that I can build. I need to look at that properly. I need to fix my stuff. And I think today, even though I have this nice big tunnel, I think today is the day that I need to properly restart a project of some sort. I need to start a project of some sort. So the question is, do I want to do the castle? What do I want to do? What do I want to do? So, let's... let's think. Okay. Well, I know I can't use that, so I need to go back. I need to go back to one of my other bases. I also need to consider putting more torches everywhere. Oh my goodness. There's so many resources that I'm just leaving everywhere because I don't have the capacity to carry it all. Nor do I have enough treasure chests or anything anymore. There's just a random deer inside my tunnel. Be free, deer. I'm not going to hurt you. Well, I guess if you're not going to... Deer. I didn't want to do it, but you were in my way. Ooh, I got deer meat. Yay. one of my bases up here. Is this the one I need? Well, of course I feel cold. So I added all these doors because, you know, you never know when something might accidentally get in your tunnel, like that deer did. And I don't need them finding their way elsewhere. Oh, is that a fire? Is that a fire I can start? Come on. Don't give me the cooking station choice. I want to add fuel. Oh, for Pete's sake. There we go. What do you mean? I have a lit fire. It's right there. What? Don't you give me that. Well, at least I can get rid of my cold. But, let's see. I'll eat that. I'll eat that. Save the blueberry. I'll eat that. Is it really gonna be that silly to me? Okay. So, there is actually something I need to do, apparently. I need to adjust my controls so that I can deconstruct better. Because the deconstruct is currently mouse 3. So we're gonna make that 9. And my secondary attack is mouse 3. But we're gonna make that 2. Alright. And now, we're going to pull up this, get our crafting, get our cooking station. There we go. That should work. There. Let's just cook some meat. Little meat cooking. Gonna cook a little meat. Meat cook. Okay. Why don't you let me? So now, where did it not cook? Or did I have extra meat and I forgot? No, there's cooked deer meat. Okay. You gotta wait for it to make the sound. There's the little sound, and then you know. Oh, I improved my cooking skill. That's new. Wait, do they have proper skills now? They do. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's bad. That's bad. I spend so much time cutting down trees, so of course my wood cutting is high. But I spend tons of time, you know, building stuff. What's this? Nope. Trophies. Oh, interesting. There's a bunch of stuff I need to get used to. Let's... Inventory full, of course it is. I don't need that. I need a torch. Alright. So it does look like there's some new weapons. Let's see. To upgrade anything I have. Need a station 5. How do I get a level 5 forge? Let's... And I actually just noticed something, so I have to fix it really quick. That's in here. I do not want that to be that. I'm gonna need it to be You know, sometimes you just gotta make adjustments. Because I have all these all these buttons I'm using, and, you know. So let's go over to the camp down here really quick. Because I haven't really done much, but I'm already getting pretty worn out. So, let's light the fires. Need the fortress up and running. Up and running. Can't sleep. Crafting station needs a roof. What do you call that? Oh. You jerk. Okay. Why don't you let me spin it? Is that good enough? No, I don't want to do that. I want to go back to this. There we go. So now I've done that. And I have this. So now, is that good enough that You need a roof still. Oh, goodness. Okay. Okay. We're gonna make this happen. We are going to make this happen. But I'm not gonna ruin all the stuff that I build. Because I have a pretty cool spot here. So... and apparently none of this needs to be repaired. But... can I... get one of these? Why won't you let me rotate it? That's foolishness. We are... no. 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 We're not doing that. Let me rotate it. Why won't you let me rotate it? Nope. Poo. Okay. if you're gonna be that way, so am I. And we're just all gonna learn to deal with it. I need my mouse to rotate things to build. Why? Why do I need a mouse? Why do I need a mouse? Cycle snapping. You know, this doesn't have to make sense. It just is going to be what we do. Because now there's a roof. And then, if I get... Oh yeah, that's bad. But you know what? It's fine. That counts as construction. And we're going to not question it. We're not going to question it. We're going to say that counts as construction. I need to stop looking at the ground. I need to get a new mouse. But I put a roof up there. There's a roof. I did it. I did what you asked. Do I have room to drop off a bunch of this stuff? I do. Because there's a bunch of stuff I don't need. Keep that. We don't need these Draugr eyes. And actually at the moment, I don't need my harpoon. I do need to keep my spear. I think that's good. And then, I'm not going to eat anything just yet. That's empty. What's in here? My bronze axe, my other pickaxe, some of my copper and tin, and then my circling cores. Now I do need a bunch more circling cores, and I need a bunch more copper and a bunch more tin. I need to get ore, but I don't know where a good vein is. Now I keep digging through the ground, so I should realistically eventually find a vein of ore. I should. Hammer repaired, upgrade. So my hammer... So let's just check really quick. heavy build? Oh my goodness. So I need a lot of this stuff, like tool shelf. I already have one of those. Tanning racks. Oh, okay, so they've moved, with the upgrade, they moved the metal and stone and crystal out of the normal building area, so I understand that. Mead kettle. Leather scraps, copper, tin. And that's for the forge. Well, that's new. In order to make another blast furnace and charcoal kiln, I need, like, at least... Well, realistically, if I want to be able to build a bunch new stuff, because, like, the smelter, I need certling cores. The blast furnace, I need certling cores. The charcoal kiln, I need certling cores. The forge, the artisan table, I need dragon tears. I don't know. I think that I get those in the mountains. Cartography table. Raspberries, bronze, bone fragments, fine wood, leather scraps. Certling core, ancient bark, fine wood. I don't need to worry. I don't bring other players in here. Portal connects to another portal with equal or no tag. Great orifice, fine wood, certling cores. What is this? Bone stack. Okay. So... what else do I have stored over here? So I have 4 leather scraps in here. What do I have over here? I have more iron over here. Fine wood, core wood, and just wood. I might need to run to my primary base, like the original compound, and try to take as many goods from there and bring them over here. But I don't want to take too much. So... but... okay, everybody, bear with me 1 second. I need to get a little coffee and think about what I'm doing for a moment. So, just bear with me. I'm going to throw up a little screeny. I'll be right back. Can you hear the game and everything? I don't know if you can hear the game. I hope you can hear the game. If you can't hear the game, it's a game. You know, it's a game. It's a game. We play a game. It's a game. You are required to let me know, though, if you cannot hear me. Because if you can't hear me, then I'm just screaming into the void. Void. Alright, so we have a bunch of things to think about, because I have to get my map. Okay, so this is all of the world that I have unlocked in this particular version. Now, this is all the stuff that I've marked, like these and ruins, stone ruins. See, day 109, so on day 109 of playing this world, I climbed up a mountain. And when I climbed up that mountain, I horribly booped myself. I made myself into a pretty little skeleton. Now the problem is when you expire in Valheim, you know, you respawn, but all of your stuff stays wherever you expired. I expired to trolls and wolves on top of a snowy mountain. And it took me the next, I think, 40 days of gameplay to collect my things. To collect my things. So, it was awful. Now, there's a lot more world out there. This is just what I've so far have opened up. That's just what I've opened up so far. So, I'm kind of debating right now, do I want to work on a fortress, or do I want to explore? Now you can see that almost everything that I've built, and I know that looks really clustered, I can't zoom because my mouse isn't the working right now. It's not the working, it is the not working. So I can't zoom out at the moment. But when I get a new mouse, I can do this properly. I am doing everything on the WASD. The WASD. WASD. But when I get a new mouse, then I can scroll out and show you everything. It'll be so great. It'll be great. Everyone will love it. It'll be fun. But what I'm thinking about what I'll do is I think I'm going to try to find a space further up. Oh, and you see I have the troll cave, kind of. And then there's the old fort, and then the lake house, and there's some tin I found down there, and the trench, cleared fields, oh, outpost bees, ooh. And you can see I'm still kind of in the cluster of most of my work. Do you realize how long it took to be able to be where I am now? It took forever. It took so long. And then I built all these things, not just this, but like the other forts, and then the stone forts, and all these walls. But I can't build right now. Like, I can clear to build, but I can't build right now because if my, because I can't rotate anything. And if I can't rotate anything, then I can't properly build anything right now. Oh, and I have a little cart over there. That's just for hauling a bunch of stuff at once. It's fun. I don't know how many people actually still play Valheim. I know that back when I got this game a few years ago, there was tons of people playing, and then there was a bunch of videos that got put up all over online of people doing certain special cool builds and things, and these amazing structures. My goal was to build a trench around the world. And I'm going to be really honest with you, I think I'm doing a good job. Now, it's starting to get dark. I want to rest, but it depends on whether or not the game will let me rest. Come on. There's my other bow. There's all of that. Oh, I need to move all my food. One spot. There we go. So I don't need anything out of there. But if I start a fire up here, which I can't because I got rid of all my wood. Gosh darn it. Okay. Let's go down to the fortress again. There's a bed down there. We're gonna rest there. Assuming it lets me now. There we go. You dream of a river running uphill, of green shoots turning downward into the earth. The earth! The earth is turning down. Well, that's a long sleep. Why is this taking so long? Why are you loading forever? You're loading too long. It's too long. Too long of a load. Why is it still loading? Good morning. It's still dark out. It's still dark out. What do you mean, good morning? I don't understand. Okay, my comfort is 8 because this place has tables and furniture and pretty walls. Day 180. I know I'm exposed. But I need to be exposed. Considering how long it took me to build all of this, I think I've done really good by myself for 180 days. I think so. Other people might disagree, but I think I have done phenomenal. So, we need to scout out We need to scout out. We need to scout out a place to build a fortress along the tunnel, along the trench. The trench. My most impressive trench. Which runs through so many areas. And I want it to run through so many more. It's gonna run through so many areas. I'm gonna get stuck in bushes. I'm gonna trench it up. Now, over here is a good spot, potentially. But it needs to be accessible. Oh, look at that sky. Look at that beautiful Valheim sky. It's gorgeous. Let's clear some trees. Oh, actually, hold on. Let's eat some food. I need stamina. I need stamina. Stamina. But we need less trees. These trees, just like all the woods, it makes it so I can't see where the trolls are. I need to see where all the trolls are. Oh, come on. That stump's not too low. Hey, Grayling. Hello. Hey. We can be friends, you know. I mean, I say that, but realistically, I'm not going to be friends with the Graylians. I'm gonna steal their land. But this is all just places for trolls to sneak up on me, and I don't want trolls to sneak up on me. Okay. So, from this part of the trench, we're gonna work our way down. Yeah. interesting fort right there. Oh, delightful. Oh, it's wonderful. Oh, so much fun. We want this to meet the edge of our trench. There we go. Delightful. Delightful. Okay, so now and there's our mid fort. Okay, invalid placement. Got it. If there's no tree, it's a valid placement. Out of my way, rock. So there we go. Alright. Now that I have an outline, all of this needs to be dug out. You gotta dig it all out. Every last bit. But we're gonna do it inside the lines. see you there. There's our edge. Take a moment to have ourselves a little snack. What do we want? Yeah. Oh, of course it's raining on me. Oh, that was perfect. Oh no! Okay. Okay, that's okay. We'll go repair everything. We need to anyway, because I need to get out of the rain. This is such a long journey. Such a long journey in the rain. And also, this game, you can do it on a Mazda, but it's not easy. You need a mouse or a controller. I haven't done it on a controller, but I know that their controller setup is in the options. So at some point, maybe I'll try it on a controller. I don't know. Alright. Guess we'll let everything take a little time here. We don't need an extra whetstone yet. Mhm. We could cook. We could build. Hmm. Oh, of course. But if I stay out, I'm going to become ill from the rain. It's gonna affect my stamina, it's gonna affect my capacity to do stuff. But you know what? We have things to do. We have things to do. We can't be worried about the rain. We're we're in the afterlife to begin with. Also, why is it raining in the afterlife? I clicked close. You're supposed to close. Okay, actually, let's get into this mid base really quick. See if we can't at least cook up some meat. Oh, for Pete's sake. The sake of Pete. Is there still too much rain? Oh, there's too much rain and this isn't covered enough. Okay. There we go. Oh, why has it done this? With the update, it doesn't let me use these the way I used to. Why? Why? Okay, now... No, L. We need to build a new one, I guess. Alright. Cook a little more meat. Come on, stop going out fire. Okay. Oh, of course. It's just gonna be mean to me right now, isn't it? Okay. 7. Is that gonna work now? Some of the patches in this game have actually made it harder for me to just do the things I used to. You dream you're walking a snowy wood when you come upon a naked child sitting against a tree with his eyes closed and his chest moved. I didn't get to read it all. Runions. So some of these loading windows are really going a really long time now. I know I could eat. I will eat. But not yet. Not when I have so much to do. Oh, look at that boar over there. Do you think he gets bored? Okay. So we have all of this area that we need. To continue digging through. I'm not going to start over here. I'm going to go right here. Digging a hole, digging a hole. There's a hole I'm digging, I'm digging, I'm digging a hole. One of the things that I need to do is, in some point along this, I do want to actually connect what's going to be the fortress foundation with the tunnel, with the trench. You really tried. You really tried, didn't you? But I'm trying to figure out, because I have the mini base right here, and I don't want to ruin that at all. But this is actually not a bad spot right here to connect. I'll put, once I have the opportunity, I'll put earthworks or stoneworks in here, and I'll create a door, and then there will be a basement entrance to the fortress. Yeah, I think that works fine. If you think it works fine, say absolutely nothing. If you think it's a stupid idea, well, it is. but it's going to make it easier for me to dig everything out. And I need a lot of stone, like a lot of stone. Excellent. I need this wood too, because I'm going to have to make a new workbench. So much work to do to build my happy little fortress and my tunnel. Secret tunnel, secret tunnel. Doodle-doodle-doodle. Spin swell, but the swelling's gone down. Oh, I need to go fix this. This is gonna break again. I'm just building stuff and doing things. So you can kind of see what's essentially going to be the foundation area for our fortress. It's right there. I gotta clear the rest of this out, and then I need to take the. Then I need to use the hoe to level everything. I'm going to need to build a new craft table out here. I just had a marvelous idea. What if I built an additional trench around here? Because you can see, like, I have this outline. What if I built some trenching around it? Because the trench is on the other side as well. And then there would be a defensive trench. Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. But first things first. Back to fix my stuff. Gonna go back to fix my stuff. Stuff fixing. Gonna fix our stuff. It's gonna be real good. We're gonna fix our stuff. It's gonna be real good. Fix our stuff. It's gonna be good. My goal is to do something far better than anything I've built before. And I've built a lot of stuff, and it's all terrible. So I have lots of stone, lots of wood. I need enough stuff so that I can build another forge. Because right now, if I build another big fortress, I'm going to have to move my forge, one of my stone cutting tables, a craft table. I'm going to have to move all of that to the new fortress. And that's going to be a pain right in the bit bops. Right in the bit bops. The bit bop pain. Stop trying to punch things. And also at some point in time I do have to go back to the main fortress because I have to check on our honey, because I was making honey, and I bet it is ready. I wasn't making honey. I had bees, and the bees were making honey. But you know what I mean. You know. The bees. Bees, bees, bees. Why can I not run up here? Is it because I have no stamina? I didn't have any stamina, so I couldn't run up that hill. No stamina, no, no, no. I didn't have no stamina. We're gonna go ahead and expand this. We're gonna go and expand this. I got another idea. So we're gonna have to expand it. It's a good footprint. Gonna make a really nice castle. I tell you what? Okie dokie. Now, switch over, and then we're gonna have to start more digging, but what I'm gonna do, I need to start breaking this up. I need all the stone I can get. I may actually need to get the stone cutting table from the house. Till then, we're going to have to go ahead and continue to dig out everything. can't believe how much daylight we're losing already. I know. Cool. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I have perished. I perished. Perished. I perished. So now I'm cold. So let's get some sleep and then. I can't believe I perished. So, yeah, that was bad. That was all bad. I was. Oh, come on! I need light. I need light so I can find my stuff. I need light. Light so I can find my stuff where I perished. I perished. Look at all those stars. That's beautiful. Oh, and it's a new day. It's a new day. It's a new day, and I have perished. I perished. I perished trying to dig. Not even dig. I perished trying to get back to camp to fix all of my stuff. Oh, goodness. So which direction do I have to go? Where's my stuff? I shouldn't run around in the dark like that. I should have gone back to a camp instead of whatever foolishness I thought was a good idea. Oh, goodness. And I'm down there. I fell into my own trench. I fell into my own trench. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, I fell into my own trench. Take all. Let's start equipping things again. You want to talk about embarrassing? Embarrassing is trying to run somewhere in the. I had a torch. I could have equipped my torch instead of running like a fool. Oh, why? Why did I do that? Oh, okay. I guess that'll teach me. I've been digging these trenches and I succumbed to my own trench. I I fell into my own trap. I fell into my own trap. It's silly. It's so silly. And I've spent so much. Ow! Goodness. Why? Why did I dig so many trenches? Why didn't I make more bridges? Why didn't I make more bridges? Okay, there's no ladder that way. Ooh, some more wood though. Carrying too much? I'm not carrying too much. There's no way I'm carrying too much. I am carrying too much. I have my belt of giant strength on though. That'll fix everything. Stay away from that so I don't pick it up. And that one's a false exit. I built a labyrinth, and I'm trapped in my own labyrinth. And why am I trapped in my own labyrinth? I'm trapped in my own labyrinth because I'm a fool. I'm silly. I'm so silly. I'm so silly. That's a little hut there. And I'm stuck here. Oh, I made the perfect traps. I made the perfect traps. Even I am getting trapped in my traps. I was like, oh, you know what? We can just build this massive labyrinth of trenches and tunnels and fortresses and bases and houses, and it'll be fun. And I fell into it like a fool. A fool. I'm a fool. Stop punching. I didn't tell you to punch. There's nothing to punch there. Fool. You fell into your own trench. You fell into your own trench. Okay. Let's think. We have thinking to do. Because I do need to get the stone cutting table. I'm going to need that over there. Do I have capacity to carry everything I need? I should. I should be able to carry everything I need. So let's get the extra stone cutting table, and we're going to bring it to the new fortress site. And I'm not going to fall into my own holes. That's right, you heard me. Oh, that's one forge. We could bring a forge over there, but we don't need this forge yet. No. We need stone cutting table. Okay, stone cutter. Now let's get here. Boom. Boom. 4 stone, 2 iron. Okay. I'm not over encumbered yet, but I have everything for the stone cutting table. So we go back. We put down a new crafting table and a new stone cutting table. And that should be good. Yes, okay. That's what we're going to do. So we have the stuff we need. We'll come back for a forge. Actually, can we carry the forge now? We might be able to. Let's find out. What do we need to get rid of? trying to get the copper. Now I'm carrying too much. Okay. Still carrying too much. We'll come back for that. Because I have plenty. So I can build a new forge, a new stone cutter, and a new craft table in the fortress ahead. Which we're going to need. Oh, no. Oh, what a dingus. I love when I press the wrong button. Wrong button is fun. Wrong button is good. Wrong button like a wrong button should. Okay, close that up. So, first things first. There we go. Here's the platform for my workstation. 7. First things first. This. And this isn't about building right now so much as I just need these in place, or else I cannot. Oop. So, forge. Stone cutter. Then I need to just protect this stuff because I'm not going to be building anything with it. I'm just going to be using it to build the things that I need. You gotta protect it because unfortunately monsters will attempt to destroy it. So how do I... We just have to mostly protect it. I cannot snap anything in place right now properly. Okay, I need some wood. So... Yes, I threw a bunch of wood before. It's okay. It's okay. Look at, we got a whole forest. We got a whole forest. is there a fire that my guy is registering? Or is it that I need a fire? Or is it that I'm hot? But my main goal is to just protect those resources as best as I can. But I need them centralized so that I can actually do all the building I need to do. Some berries. Yeah. Which is good because I need to eat something. There we go. So I'm going to put some more walls around this. Because we need to protect it. Does this look dumb? Of course it does. Do I really think it matters? No, I don't. We'll build better stuff when I get a new mouse. For now, what matters is protecting my important resources. And I don't think any monsters are getting through there. Of course I shouldn't say things like that, because that's just asking for trouble. Okay. Oh my goodness. So many things to do still. I know that was like a lot of time and energy, but it's important. Because as soon as I have enough stone and I level this out, I can build foundations for the fortress. Actually, like right now, I see 48 stone. It's hard work, Biggin. It's hard work building a really big pit. Alright. A little bit of sleep. As is necessary. Oh, goodness. Apparently, the fire that's inside my camp is backing smoke up into my sleeping area, which is not good. I'm getting smoked out. Alright, look at that beautiful night sky in Valheim. That's what you call lovely. Lovely. Just take a moment to really appreciate what is there. Sometimes you have to just stare into the sky. Sometimes you just have to, look up into the clouds and stuff and be like, oh, that's pretty cool. I like it. I like it. So, I've already been playing for a couple of hours. I do very desperately need a new mouse. So part of me is wondering if I should discontinue this stream for now, and then try to go get a new mouse if I can today. And then I can return to all of you later this day. So let me just babble, all right? Babble, look at that prettiness. Babble. So today, I'm gonna be doing a lot of extra streaming this weekend. I know I haven't been streaming for a while. I'm sorry. You know, sometimes I haven't been streaming for a while. I'm gonna come back to streaming. Just like in the past, it's gonna be Valheim. It's gonna be art. It's gonna be weird games that just look fun to me. And probably reading again. But today I'm streaming because it's my birthday, so I was doing a special extra bit. But I might come back later today and do more streaming. I know I've only been on for a couple of hours right now, but I think I cannot effectively do this if I don't have a mouse. I cannot effectively stream today if I don't have a mouse. And that means I either need to fix my mouse or get a new one. And those are my only options. But I didn't realize that I had an issue with my mouse until I got the mouse, and then I'm trying to use the mouse, and it's like, what? This isn't working. It's not working. I also really like that apparently my stream is excellent today. Like, what is that? What is that? Like, I have just an excellent signal. Everything's coming through good. Hopefully my sound has been coming good. Hopefully my sound has been coming through good. Yeah. So yes, that's what's gonna happen. I have been streaming for a couple of hours, but I need to get a mouse, or I need to get mine working. Those are the only ways that this stream is going to be successful if I want to continue it. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to depart from all of you, and when I come back later today at some point, I'm probably going to continue doing Valheim. But this week, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do some streaming. I'm gonna do some streaming today. I'm gonna do some streaming tomorrow, and I'm gonna do some streaming on Saturday. Whether it's gonna be painting or Valheim or another game, I don't know. I hope you like the little doodle in the corner. That is a character for my comic that I'm doing, because I'm hand drawing a comic because I'm out of my mind. But that's going to be my little stand-in for the time being for myself. That's Audrey. She's just kind of a little bit depressed, and she's a character in my Violet and Luna comic. But thank you so much, everybody. I will be back. I will return because I need to get a mouse. Thank you. You're all awesome, and I will see you very soon. Okay? Thank you. Bye.